What's up, guys? Disclosure Artist here, and today I'm going to discuss my personal experiences with hallucinogens, how they may have affected my experience, how they may not. Again, strange things began happening to me before I was even born. I saw my first UFO when I was 15 years old, so I think either way, strange things were going to happen to me. Again, my computer was, attacked in the style of Morpheus and Neo from the Matrix. All before any of these things. But basically, I've had a couple passengers who've tried ayahuasca and have mentioned to me, as well as, just knowing out in the world, that taking certain things drops the veil. You can see things that are there that you normally wouldn't. Doesn't make them any less there. My personal experiences with hallucinogens do not include that experience yet. I have, however, tried salvia and psilocybin, magic mushrooms. One experience was terrifying, the other was quite enjoyable. I guess I could start. I was probably 21 years old when I smoked salvia. It's the world's only legal hallucinogen. You can buy it for $20, down at Venice Pier. And at the time, I was with a partner who did not condone the use of marijuana. So all of my use occurred in their absence, aka behind their back. And on this particular occasion, I had not smoked any weed, if you will, for at least 2 weeks. And I had my partner to blame for that. I was in my apartment. I was in college at this time, and my partner was, or my girlfriend, I guess, was somewhere else at work, in school, in class, I don't know. Either way, she would be coming over later, and I understood that when my roommate and our mutual friend from film school came over and brought some salvia, that the effects were short-lasting and that I would be able to enjoy it before she got over there. So I basically felt like I was going to get away with it. But it was not a good experience for me, because having not smoked any weed for 2 weeks, I had no, I guess, cushion for the very, very aggressive experience that salvia can be. And it basically put me in a state of mind where I had to almost reason my way out of it for the next 10 years. This sort of experience is supposed to leave you with maybe like a minute-long peak with like a 20-minute afterglow. In my case, because I was encouraged to do so much at the time by my roommate, that it actually ended up giving me what I understand to be derealization or depersonalization disorder to some extent, where I'd be driving down the road, I'd look out the window, see a car, and it wouldn't seem like it was really there to me. Whether that's a disorder or whether it's exiting the Matrix is anyone's guess. I remember my roommate, his words to me after I finally snapped out of my scary high was, he was sitting there with his cousin. I was sitting on our spiral staircase. I'll never forget it. He was looking at me. He said, "Well, this is the way things really are, man." And he himself suffered from depression. I do not, but my roommate at the time did have bouts of depression. And I guess that was just the only way he could relate to me, or what I was describing, the new dimension I felt like I had awoken to. In any event, the experience itself, we were smoking it out of a bowl. My roommate didn't have too aggressive of an experience. I remember him kind of almost trying to jump out the window. I kind of had to, lightly stop him from that. We were on the 3rd story of our loft apartment, and my other friend, he had another, type of relatively mild experience. I had another friend from film school who who told me what his experience was with it. He said he was leaning up against the wall and he felt himself leave his body and look down on his body. I can attest to those experiences, and I didn't need any hallucinogens to experience them. I guess it has something to do with the frequency of the signal between different waves in the brain, that when they become too narrow, there's no longer like a difference between them, and that's when you enter the quantum realm, and that's when you can astral project and do all sorts of things like this. I'm going to make another video discussing Project Gateway and all these things as well. But yeah, in my case, I was sitting on the couch, kind of on the crack of two cushions, so already I wasn't comfortable. You want to be comfortable and you want to feel okay and relaxed in the situation. And the stuff, it comes from the mountains of Mexico, and it's for, you know, the shamans who smoke this stuff, and they have visions and they see things and they relay them to the rest of the people. It's powerful stuff. The fact that it's legal the way it is just, I think, targeted. But anyway, we can get into that later. Like I said, they put it on a bowl of weed, they sprinkled it on, it looked like black gunpowder, and I took extra giant rips of it because my roommate was there just rooting me on to do so. And as soon as that happened, I remember what I can describe as a red, white, and blue, kind of like that design you see when you go to the barber shop spinning. That print on what appeared to be a giant circus tent, which appeared to be coming from the back of my heels and almost was curling over my head like a tidal wave. Like, and the only way that I could escape this engulfment was to physically roll horizontally, which I did over my roommate's lap, up the backside of the couch, knocked over his computer, monitor, and keyboard, onto the floor, across halfway through the living room, whereupon half of my entire body, I think the entire right side, felt like pins and needles, like that little toy where you have the nails and you put your hand on it and to pull it out and it leaves a perfect print of your hand. It felt like that on only directly down the right side of my body. That means from toe to head. I felt that experience, as well as super duper hot. I felt extremely hot, to the point where I was compelled to take off my shirt. And I remember staggering there for a few moments, and as it was coming down, I remember it was just getting more and more intense, and I was like, no, 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 no. I remember screaming to myself, no, 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 no. You know, like, I wanted it to get less intense, but it just kept escalating. Yeah, it almost just kind of rapes your mind and does what it wants to you. And it forced me to kind of compartmentalize any stressful situation thereupon after, or, yeah, into almost this anxiety where it would just kind of like have an onset. And then also neon lights I would have a sensitivity to for almost 10 years after. It was almost like I had to adapt to it. It's strange. Yeah, so then, needless to say, my girlfriend came over after that and found me in bed, kind of like holding my head, and knew something was wrong. So that was that experience. I remember reading as a kid, like online, very, very cautiously about, you know, hallucinogens, on Arrowwood.com. That was a free information website where people would upload their accounts or their experiences with different substances. It was really, the site was dedicated to the relationship between man and plant. So, real interesting place. So I would always read these stories where things were good and went bad, and, you know, use that in my lexicon of decision making. When it came to taking mushrooms, I did it with 3 other females and myself. And I remember experiencing moments of, I remember the dosage was done completely topsy-turvy because we ate him in SpaghettiOs. And one girl almost got none. My girlfriend got too much. She was on the floor in another dimension, curled up in a ball, and we were completely worried about her. We thought we'd never get her out of Quantumania at that point, out of the quantum realm. But myself, I feel like I had a perfect trip, if you will, and so was the host. I think she also had a good time. My main takeaway from it was I experienced ebbs and flows, fluctuations of extreme transparency, meaning like I felt as though my literal rib cage was a glass display case, and people could literally see all the things within me that like I haven't necessarily disclosed. You know, like if I had secrets or if I had any aspects of myself that I wasn't showing in everyday life, they were now visible in that moment. It would fluctuate from that to extreme moments of hysteria where I would just be shrieking uncontrollably with laughter. I remember looking at a poster or painting they had in their home and just breaking it down, analyzing. I was just screaming with laughter to the point where the neighbors were banging on the walls. And, I had tears running down my face. Everyone else was laughing because I was laughing so hard. So, yeah, every substance has a different response to different people. I have a friend who probably is the best connection I made just by having this experience as a driver. I met him, and he was an experienced psychonaut who, grew up taking shrooms and always knew exactly how much to take, how to dose. And one day on such occasion, he, because you can never really tell the potency just by looking at a cap, and that's the issue. So he basically put himself in a 7-month trance where he couldn't talk or walk or anything until he had to use his mind muscle to reason his way out of it. Now this guy comes from a family of Santeria practicing warlocks, so he's got all kinds of different spiritual energy on his side. But it just goes to show that it